Hello. Tonight, as the moonlight gently falls over the quiet roofs, as the gentle wind blows through the trees outside the window, allow yourself to completely relax. Find a comfortable position. Lie down in the soft room. Let your hands hang loosely by your sides. Take a deep breath, then exhale. Each time you exhale, you will feel more comfortable, more relaxed. All the worries of the long day, the work sets, all the ideas are now important. We are like clouds floating across the sky, and you just need to relax and let them drift away. Listen to your rhythm. Listen to the gentle breathing. Let your body and mind sink into a slow, lonely rhythm. Tonight, I will take you to a magical place, a land of mist and mysteries that have slept for centuries. We will travel through misty forests, towering mountains, and towns that only appear when the fog rolls in. But don't worry, this journey is as gentle as a dream, where you can walk leisurely, fearless, filled with curiosity and peace at every step. Now, with your mind ready, let's open the door to the journey through the land of mist. The city at night was still as noisy as ever, but in a quiet corner of an old coffee shop nestled under the shade of old maple trees, Andrew, a young man who loved long trips, was quietly looking out the misty glass window. The yellow lights fell on the wet stone pavement, where a few people hurriedly passed by, carrying their own stories that no one could hear. Andrew took a sip of black coffee, his eyes shining with the fatigue of busy days, but deep inside was a fire, the fire of a desire to explore. On the old wooden table in front of him, a worn-out leather-bound book lay open, revealing an old map that Andrew had just found this morning in an antique bookstore. The shop owner, a silver-haired old man, looked at Andrew for a long time before handing over the book, only saying softly, "Young man, not everyone is brave enough to go where this map leads." Andrew shivered slightly. The map was strange. It was not drawn with straight ink lines like modern maps, but with soft curves, as if the wind and rivers had drawn them. In the lower corner, there were strange symbols that looked like ancient writing, and a dark circle surrounded the area called Fog Valley. No modern map Andrew had ever seen mentioned this place. It was late at night. Outside, a drizzle began to fall, tapping gently on the glass window. An invisible voice called out to Andrew, urging him, "Go find that land." There were secrets waiting to be discovered. Andrew closed the book, carefully putting the map in his pocket. This trip would be unlike any other. He did not know what was there, but in his heart there was a strange feeling of excitement and nervousness, as if a mysterious door was about to open. The next morning, before the sun had risen, Andrew shouldered his backpack and stepped out of his small apartment where the city was still asleep. The road leading to the old train station in the suburbs was as quiet as his mood. The ticket in his hand had a name that few people knew, Swang Fu Station. That train only departed once a month, at dawn, passing through lands that modern maps no longer recorded. The ticket inspector looked at Andrew with a half-curious, half-sympathetic gaze, as if he had seen many people take this trip but few returned with the same eyes as before. The long train whistle sounded, tearing apart the morning mist. The wheels began to roll, taking Andrew away from the familiar city, away from the noisy pace of life, to enter a journey that no one knew where it would lead. On the horizon, dark clouds gathered, signaling the erratic weather of mysterious lands. But in the warm train compartment, Andrew leaned his head back on the seat, gently closing his eyes. Little did he know that from this moment, his life would change forever. The train pierced the morning mist like an arrow into a dreamland. The steady sound of the iron wheels rolling on the rails, like a gentle lullaby, brought Andrew to a world he had never set foot in. Outside the glass window, the city gradually receded. The tall buildings faded into the mist, giving way to a vast expanse of wild fields. There, rows of thin maple trees trembled in the wind, strange birds flew in small flocks, and sometimes, the silhouette of a lonely wooden house on the hillside, the thin smoke from the kitchen painted soft lines on the sky. In the train compartment, Andrew began to notice the rare companions. Right at the opposite corner, there was a long-haired woman wearing a dark blue cloak. Her deep eyes seemed to contain the entire night sky. She said nothing, just silently holding a thick notebook in her hand, occasionally writing a few lines of scribbled words like ancient script. Further away, an old man sat beside an old wooden suitcase, his face tanned, his eyes shining with the light of someone who had spent many years on dangerous roads. He caught Andrew's gaze, nodded slightly, and smiled kindly and mysteriously. The train attendant brought some bread and hot tea. When he put the tray down, he whispered, "Swang Fu Station is the last station. After that, there are no more trains." Andrew shivered slightly. There are no more trains? He wanted to ask more, but the attendant had already left, his figure disappearing behind the old wooden door. The deeper he went into the remote land, the stranger the scenery outside became. The gray mountains loomed behind the thick fog, the ancient cypress forests rustled as if whispering thousand-year-old secrets. Occasionally, the train passed over stone bridges across the river, where the water was so calm that it reflected the gray cloudy sky above. The old man finally spoke, his voice deep and warm. "You also went to Misty Valley?" Andrew nodded. "I heard there is a forgotten city there." He smiled softly, a smile that was both kind and contained many unspeakable things. "It's not just a city. Their time sometimes doesn't flow like other places." The words sent a chill down Andrew's spine. He was about to ask more when the train began to slow down. A sea of white clouds surrounded him, to the point where the tracks ahead were no longer visible. The train whistle sounded long, as if calling to open an invisible door. When the train stopped, a rusty sign appeared faintly in the mist, "Misty Valley Station." Stepping down to the platform, Andrew immediately felt the damp cold seeping through every piece of fabric. The space was strangely quiet, with only a few figures quietly disappearing into the mist as if this place itself swallowed all sounds and movements. The long-haired woman continued to walk ahead, her demeanor relaxed as if she were already familiar with the land. The older man patted Andrew on the shoulder. "Let's go. The real journey has only just begun." In the distance, trails leading into the valley seemed to be waiting for them, and perhaps mysteries that had been dormant for centuries. Stepping onto the trail leading down to the valley, Andrew felt as if he had just passed through an invisible curtain. The surrounding space suddenly changed. The sound of the wind blowing through the treetops became deeper, more resonant, as if carrying a whisper from a faraway place. The fog was thick, wrapping around every branch and every stone slab. Underfoot, old stone paths were exposed amidst a carpet of green moss, many places hidden by the roots of ancient trees like giant snakes crawling across. Occasionally, on the mossy rocks, Andrew saw strange symbols carved, winding curves, connecting spirals as if describing a language that had long disappeared. The old man walking in front stopped and said softly, "This is the writing of the Zyrama people. They used to live in this valley thousands of years ago until they disappeared." Andrew asked. "They disappeared, how?" He just shook his head slightly. "There are many legends. Some say a great flood. Others say they followed an opening that led to another world. No one knows the truth. The deeper they went, the stranger the valley became. There were ancient trees so big that 10 people could barely hug them, their trunks hollow, emitting a pale green light from inside like luminescent stones. There were small streams flowing with water so clear that you could see every pebble at the bottom, but strangely, no babbling sound could be heard. All sounds seemed to be absorbed, leaving only the sound of the group's footsteps echoing in the mist. When night fell, the group stopped by a giant tree to rest. A campfire was lit, the firelight reflecting on everyone's faces, creating flickering shadows on the foliage above. The long-haired woman, who had been silent until now, suddenly spoke in a deep, slow voice as if telling an ancient story. "The Zyrama believe that this valley is where the world of men and the world of the gods intersect. On nights with the thickest fog, one can see the silver moon road leading to their sacred city. Only those with brave and pure hearts can find that path." Her eyes sparkled as if reflecting the firelight, making Andrew shiver. The Silver Moon Road. The name sounded like it only existed in distant dreams. That night, when everyone had fallen asleep, Andrew still lay awake. The fog was thicker, and it seemed there was a faint light glimmering between the trees in the distance. It moved slowly, as if inviting. Andrew sat up gently. The wind stopped blowing. The whole forest was so quiet that Andrew could hear his own heartbeat. The light led towards the distant mountains, where it was rumored that the city of Zyrama once stood. Little did Andrew know that, from the moment he decided to follow that light, the 1,000-year-old mystery of the valley was about to be revealed. Andrew followed the dim light, mesmerized by an invisible force. The leaves rustled under his feet, but strangely, the sound was very far away, as if coming from somewhere else. The old man and the long-haired woman quickly realized that Andrew had left the resting place. They followed silently, saying nothing, their eyes filled with understanding. Perhaps they knew that the light was the sign of the Silver Moon Road that the Zyrama had mentioned. As the light led the group out of the dense forest, a wide valley opened before them. The mist here seemed to split into 2 white walls, revealing an ancient stone path winding toward a city bathed in moonlight. The city seemed to have stepped out of the pages of forgotten history. The walls were covered with green moss, towering, the giant archway carved with strange shapes. The black stone towers rose high into the sky, the tops carved with symbols of the moon and the sun. In the center was a large square with a giant statue of a god holding a staff of light, its empty eyes staring down at the visitor from centuries ago. Not a bird chirped, not a breath of wind. The entire city seemed locked in a still moment of time. "Zyrama City," the long-haired woman whispered, her voice trembling as if she couldn't believe her eyes. They went deeper inside. On the walls, reliefs told the history of the Zyrama people, from the time of their prosperity, when they communed with the gods of the sky, to the moment when everything went dark, perhaps war, perhaps disaster, or some other secret that no carving could fully capture. In the center of the square, at the foot of the god, they discovered a giant stone door locked by 4 symbols of light. The old man examined it carefully and said, "This is the gate of time. Legend has it that whoever opens this door will see the final secret of the Zyrama and what caused them to disappear." The 4 symbols were ancient riddles carved in a swirling script that only the long-haired woman could read. She slowly translated each sentence, each one a riddle about the 4 elements: wind, water, fire, and time. The group had to travel throughout the city to find small shrines representing each element. At each location, they had to rearrange ancient stones, touch symbols, and when they did it right, a gentle light would burst forth, drifting toward the gate of time in the square. The journey lasted until midnight. When the last symbol glowed, the gate of time resonated with a deep, resonant sound, then slowly opened, revealing a spiraling corridor of light that led deep underground. Andra looked down, his heart pounding. This is where the Zyrama civilization's last secret is kept, and perhaps where the question of whether they exist in another world is answered. The old man said softly, "We've come too far to turn back. Let's go." And then the group stepped into the swirling light, not knowing that on the other side was a reality unlike any other in the world. As the first rays of dawn flickered behind the distant mountains, the road back seemed to be covered with a layer of golden morning sunlight. The wind from the mysterious land still lingered in her hair, carrying the gentle fragrance of flowers that only bloomed when the moon rose. Our character turned his head slightly to look back at that place. The hills, the forests, the silvery river, and the village hidden in the valley all seemed to be fading in the morning mist, like a dream that had just happened. On the way back, everything suddenly became quieter. There were no more magical sounds of the wind flute, nor were there any creatures of light to guide the way. There were only slow footsteps, as if blending with the beat of a heart full of emotions. Perhaps every journey leaves something deep in the soul, a lesson, a secret, or simply the realization that this world is larger and more magical than we think. The character suddenly recalls the moment when he stood before the gate of light where all mysteries seemed to intersect. The past, the present, and even the unnamed things in the future. That light not only showed the way, but also acted as a mirror reflecting his heart. Since when did people start to forget to listen to the voice inside, and then keep searching for answers in faraway places? When he returned to the familiar city, everything seemed to be the same. The crowded streets, the corner cafes still resounded with familiar music, and the afternoon sky was still dyed in the fiery orange of sunset. But in the traveler's heart, everything was different. There was a gentle peace, as if after that trip, the daily worries no longer had any weight. That night, sitting by the window, looking at the moonlight shining through the glass, the traveler smiled slightly. That mysterious land may forever exist only in memory, but what it gives us faith, curiosity, and love for this vast world will last a lifetime. And then, before falling asleep, the traveler whispered to himself, "Perhaps every journey is not only to explore the outside world, but also a journey back to oneself. Now that the adventure has ended, let your soul be enveloped in the gentle silence of the night." Let all the worries and fatigue of the long day gently drift away, like a river slowly flowing to a distant place. Close your eyes, listen to your heartbeat, and feel each slow, deep breath. Sleep is approaching, bringing gentle dreams, where you can continue your journey on mysterious paths, under the sparkling starry sky. Wishing you a peaceful night, a deep sleep, and when the morning comes, you will wake up with a light heart, a refreshed spirit, ready for a day filled with hope and peace.